Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Check with you.
So he's analyzing.
And he basically sent a letter to Taylor, and Taylor responded to him because he was blown away that his music affected people and how it did. So anyway, they've been in touch. So when coming to town, he reached out. So Taylor shows up to Aaron's house, and we had it had been raining. We were going to do an outdoor thing.
Yeah.
And he invited us to play. So the Exiles played a few songs. I did the Cajon Styles acoustic style, and he showed up and played like a 30-minute set, and it's incredible, man. Just
awesome.
The power of songwriting.
Yeah.
I mean, like with the West Texas Exiles, we have 3 of them.
you do. You have a very talented crew.
Oh my God, man! That's the thing. Is like a band like Dawes with Taylor, what he's doing with his brother, and the lead player. I got to talk to him. We got backstage after the show, and Taylor and his bro were done, so they didn't show up. But I think his name was Trevor. Had a killer guitar, but this stuff's like next level, kind of Grateful Dead, Allman Brothers vibes, mixed in with the pop and the songwriting that openly sobbing a couple times, just the words. And
you had a good cry.
A great band, Dawes. Yeah, definitely.
I think the last time I cried was 2 weeks ago when we were watching Home Alone.
Okay.
It was a church scene.
Okay.
When the old man approaches Kevin and is like telling him, about his life. So I'm like, oh,
I
man,
need to
that's
see that
so
again.
sad.
I like a good cry, man.
Cheers, bud. Thank you for coming on.
Cheers, Ramon.
So the whole point of this show is to interview interesting people in interesting industries, and being in the music industry, it's kind of interesting.
What am
right?
I doing here? What do you mean?
Stop it! You've been around for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, sure have, man.
So hold on, let me guess, Lubbock.
Yes,
That's right.
If you want the full story,
we got an hour. So
I was actually born in San Antonio.
Then you're not
Hold on. Born in San Antonio. My father was a chef, a famous chef in Carlos Leal. He was a famous chef, 60s on, and I was born right when I was born. He was writing a book, was going to open a restaurant and all this stuff in San Antonio. But there were basically some investors. They had a country club in Lubbock, and they wanted him to kind of redo the whole thing. So I literally was not even 1 year old, and we moved to Lubbock.
All right.
So
I'll give you that.
The dirt was already in me before I was 1.
I'm going to be honest. I wasn't born in West Texas either. I was born in Southern California. So.
Oh, whoa. I'm just kidding, man. Hey, man, it takes all kinds. But I think that's the thing is that, Atascosa County, Poteet, Texas, Jerrington is where my whole family comes from. My last name is Leal. I'm like a 7th generation Texan. Trying to remember the year, but it was early, God,
1999.
1732, something like that. That
I was way off.
Moved. Yeah, it was. We're talking like my family originated from the Canary Islands, Lanzarote Island, and my great grandfather Manuel Leal. It was King Philippe V of Spain. It was Spanish territory, Texas, Louisiana, in that time, and we're talking pre-American Revolution. Sent these families, like none of his people, the king's people, wanted to get on a ship and come, so we went to these islanders, and Manuel Leal was one of them. His family, it was like I think it's 19 families. It's actually in the Alamo timeline. My grandfather is in there, and they came over through a long journey. People died along the way, up through Cuba, up in, and established like the first village that eventually became San Antonio area. So like I'm a 7th generation Texan.
How do you know all that? Did you Ancestry.com, or you're just your family just
my
storytelling?
Aunt Tomasa and Aunt Josie, they know a little bit about the history.
This all makes perfect sense when I interview you, because you come from a family that's telling good stories.
Yeah.
Because when I get you on camera, it's automatic.
Yeah.
You have this natural ability to just speak to a camera. Whereas when I interview other CEOs in some pretty important, companies, as soon as the light comes on, they just clam up.
Yeah.
So that explains a lot. Okay.
Just a lot of history, man.
Yeah.
Coming from there, and like there's a whole Cementerio de Leal. There's a Leal Road. When you're headed to Corpus Christi you get past through San Antonio going through, you'll see Leal Road. If you take that road, it turns into a dirt road, and the trees and stuff, and you go through and you see the cemetery, and there's my father's buried there. My mom wasn't. She married again. She's buried in Lubbock.
Okay.
But I got a spot there if I want it, but we'll see, man.
Yeah. Got a whole family plot. So talk to me a little bit more last night. How'd you guys get into that gig?
Man, it
was a private event, right?
Yeah. A good friend of ours just...
You bougie bastards working private events.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's how we survive sometimes.
That's awesome.
But it was basically Dawes is in town, and our good friend Aaron Rockland has this Under the Rock thing that he's doing where he's kind of bringing psychology into music, which music is psychological in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Very therapeutic.
Yeah.
And he's doing a real good job of kind of just helping songwriters kind of like deciphering the song and kind of where it comes from. And Taylor Goldsmith is one of the great modern songwriters now with the band Dawes. I highly recommend going to check them out. I'm kind of a new fan, although Marco has definitely turned me on to them a while back.
Okay.
But, so basically they were playing the Moody, and Aaron reached out, and Taylor came to this house party he was throwing, and Aaron had us on, and we played a few songs, and he hung out. He was kind of blown away, which was cool. He loved the harmonies. He loved what was going on. We played Hotel Tomorrow. We played a few good ones, and but just the power of the songwriting. He captured the room, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And then
How does that compare on your list of concerts? Is it up there? Is it middle of the pack?
Definitely, man. Especially when you haven't really seen something that you're just just totally taken in by. The dynamics and all that kind of thing, and the dedication of the fans. I was looking around, and they're singing along passionately, and he's got this song "When My Time Comes," and just kind of turned the mic, and the energy was just like,
Talk about a song that makes you cry. Every once in a while, coming home from a late night gig, I'll throw that on. I'm like, okay, this is cool, but I'm also very sad.
Yeah, stare into the abyss, and it's staring right back.
Yep. So, the whole point another point of this conversation is that I never get to talk to you guys. It's always work, and and that's cool. But I feel like you guys live an interesting life, and you're very cool individuals. So now is the time for me to ask the questions, because it's my show and I do what I do. But
and by the way, you're very talented. You love what you're doing, and you're part of this family. You're Exile family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
For you,
I appreciate it. I'll call you when I get into my next bar fight. But so let's take it to the very beginning, as I do with most musicians. What got you into music, and then what got you into playing the tambores, as my mom would call it?
Oh, man. Once again, I had brothers that were older. My older, like my mom, she had Henry, Billy, and Sally, my brothers and sisters, before she met my dad. And Billy was 17 years older than me. Sally was 16, and Henry was 13 years older than me. So they were way older than me. But growing up, Henry was a drummer. And he just always was like, music was always around, and I always loved music. Music always kind of saved me in a lot of ways. It kind of just, there was something about hearing it all, and I grew up in the 70s, and so I got turned on to all kinds of things kind of ahead of my time, and from the Zeppelins to the take Kiss, man. I was a kid. I was into Kiss, man.
My brother-in-law is a huge Kiss fan.
Yeah,
he tried to get me onto him.
Kiss, Scooby-Doo, and Evil Knievel. That was my childhood.
I think that's pretty much his childhood, too.
I was Evil Knievel on Halloween all through the 70s. The little, the plastic costumes, the vinyl.
Yeah.
You just kind of smell it, and stuff like that.
Did you have the little wind-up toy?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I had the wind-up toy. Man, I had all that stuff. But so my brother, I grew up kind of fast, the family, my bros, but he had he had a blue sparkle Ludwig kit that sat in the garage room. And at this time, he was living with us. Sometimes he'd live with us, sometimes he wouldn't. But he had this kit there, and he'd hide the drumsticks. And I was probably 7, 8 years old, and I found out where he hid the drumsticks. Oh. And I got on him, and I mean, like barely reaching the bass drum kind of shit, and just sorry, I cussed.
It's fine. This is
right on.
We could do whatever we want.
Right on. Radio Free Europe, man. But anyway, and I remember banging on him, and I remember cuffing one of his sticks and freaking out and putting them back. And, he came around and he noticed. And
what's it like the scene in Step Brothers?
Huh?
Have you seen the movie Step Brothers?
That's funny because when I saw that scene, that cracked me up, man. Because I was like, this no fucking way. No way. That's crazy. But anyway, so he's like, okay, yeah, and here's where I'll come up with this. Trini, all right? My name is Trinidad Carlos Leal, right? And that's the name I go by. But back then, as a kid, Mom and Dad, they call me Trini, So anyway, my brother was like, Trini, have you been playing my drums? And I was kind of freaked out kid, like, well, yeah, I'm sorry, He's like, do you want to play? And I was like, yeah, and
oh, okay, so he was like excited almost.
Yeah,
okay.
You want to play? And yeah, and so he just, he showed me. He always called them the fundamentals, but it was like but it's basically like a triplet and some basic beats. The first song I ever learned was a band called Montrose, and they were kind of a really killer kind of classic rock. Actually, Sammy Hagar's first band, and they got a song called Rock Candy, and it's this bass. The beat is do do got bat do do got do do bat do 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 got bat do do pat 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 boom 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 bam. And that was the first I learned that, and I remember being so proud. But I just picked it up, man. I picked it up, and in self-taught for the most part, and it kind of started for there. And he took me.
How old are you around this?
This is like 8.
Oh wow, okay.
8 or 9.
You started very early.
First concert, I was 9 years old. It was an Aerosmith concert with AC/DC, Bon Scott, the original singer.
Oh,
9 years old, man. So when I look at 9-year-olds now, I go, I was like, Mom, what were you thinking, Mom? It's like, but anyway, man, I and Kiss, all these legendary Lubbock concerts I was at. And it's funny because I'll see threads of Lubbock people because there's so many great musicians that come out of Lubbock and whatnot. And they'll tell, I was at that concert. I was at that one, So I was just all in, and, my first, then my brother put together an old Rogers kit for me. And then for my birthday, I was my 12th birthday. I got my first legit kit. It was a black pearl export. And I had this kind of heavy rock band called Tora Tora. We were like 13. We played covers. We played like a Kiss cover and a Black Sabbath cover and an original. And we played like little parties. It was hilarious. Yeah.
When I kind of grew up playing the drums.
Right.
It wasn't anything special. Yeah. I could barely hold a beat, but the first drum set I got was a Thomas Superstar or Rockstar, one of those.
Nice.
And then I got introduced to Blink-182, and nice. I had to set up the toms as flat as Travis Barker, and I had to get his drumsticks that left white marks all over my cymbals. I'm like, okay, I'm never buying.
The black. Yeah. That's
was there a drummer that you idolized growing up that you're like, I'm going to set up my kit just like him?
Man,
was it Tommy Lee or
John Bonham?
John Bonham, okay.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Like playing along with that, but then it got into like, just all kinds of drummers. But early days, like was just kind of the rock stuff, like Peter Criss and like I should have thought about this before because there's a few of them. That I really loved. Joey Kramer for Aerosmith.
What about Copeland?
Stuart Copeland.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I remember being in a cover band. We used to do "Message in a Bottle" and there was a couple of tunes we did. But yeah, I was playing music pretty much since I was, 12. I started playing in bands, but it's never really stopped.
That's quite impressive.
Never really stopped, man. Into junior high school, I played sports like, You know, I played like Pee Wee football. You know,
Yeah.
I really liked football. You know, I still watch football. I'm probably the only. Well, Eric watches a little bit, but I'm probably the only sports guy in the band.
Okay, yeah,
you know?
yeah. Who's your team?
Which is cool. Oh man,
Don't say the Cowboys.
I have to because hey man, I'm from Lubbock. I can't quit them, but I hate them.
I know.
Jerry, please just go quit, man.
What I did is I broke up with him about 2 years ago during the San Francisco championship game, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. And I turned to my dad. He's been a lifelong Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Ever since the franchise was born, I'm like, sorry, Dad, I can't do this anymore. I know, son. I know, son.
My brother Billy told me about my dad because I guess my brother was his stepdad, but my dad took him. And they would go watch when Texas Stadium was getting built and stuff like that.
R.I.P.
So that's how deep it goes. Also, Paul Leary, he played guitar for the Butthole Surfers.
Okay.
He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, he's local Austin band too, right?
Yeah. Oh, he what?
Local Austin band. Butthole Surfers, right?
Oh, yeah. They're legendary, man. They're a legendary psychedelic band. He produced the Sublime records.
Yeah, that's right, at Arlen Studios.
I did some drum engineering for him, tuning, stuff like that. I've gotten to work with some really killer drummers doing stuff like that. But he's a huge Cowboy fan. He tells me stories about he college roomed with a guy that was like the son of one of the coaches back in like mid-70s. So he'd go to Texas Stadium and watch them practice and find places they could smoke joints in Texas Stadium and stuff. Just funny stories, man. But yeah, you know, man, there's just a lot of fans.
I will come back once, unfortunately, you know, Jerry Jones passes on, goes away, and unfortunately he has to move on from this earth in order for that to happen. But I think it's now fun to watch because they really don't have a lot to, you know, play for, but it's fun watching Cooper Rush develop. I think he might do some good things next year. We'll see if
who knows
contractually works out. But anyways.
We can talk
Go
sports Lions, all day. Man. Go Lions.
There you go, yeah. And that's the interesting thing is that like Dallas is a big market. Yeah. Detroit, not a big market, yet they're I can't even talk. They're successful.
Yeah.
As a team, and I'm like, why are the Cowboys struggling with such a terrible franchise?
The culture.
It's culture, it's leadership, it's everything. But again, we digress.
Sports talk with Raymond.
And so when did you go anywhere else besides before Austin, did you move anywhere else?
Oh yeah. Lubbock. Okay, so Lubbock, Pan 2, graduated high school. And just out of high school, my first job was at Hastings Books and Records, and I was a receiving manager for like a year and a half.
Okay, right
cool. But then right after that, there was an independent record store called University Records in Lubbock, Texas, and I got a job there when I was like 20, I think, and it was a killer independent record store, and so basically I've worked there at record store to about 96. And I'd saved some money with a friend of mine, and we opened a record store in Denton, Texas. So I had a record store in Denton from 96 to 2000, which a lot of full circle stuff has happened, like the band The Gourds, which is like Shiny Ribs, Kevin.
Oh, yeah.
Where The Gourds is the band he comes from. We actually had their first record in-store with them, like dates back. So I've known Kevin for many years. Drive-By Truckers, I don't know if you know about them.
Yeah.
Patterson, meeting him way back. There was a really cool scene in Denton. So I lived in Denton from 96 to probably 2002 or 2-ish, 1-ish. And then at that time, I was playing in this band called Dixie Witch, which was like a kind of a power trio, kind of along the lines of kind of Allman Brothers, Black Crowes kind of thing. And I was the lead singer. I was a singing drummer.
You sang?
Yes.
And
yes,
you
I
drummed.
did.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually, it's kind of funny because we wound up having success and toured all over the world, but I became kind of a vagabond. And so I moved to Dallas for a little bit, and then I lived in Houston for a little bit. And in between, I would go back to Lubbock, and my brother-in-law Lupe was a bricklayer, and I would labor bricklay in between tours. Or I would stay in Houston and do work for Upstage and rigging stages. I have a Blink 182 story actually.
We did
a Blink 182 show in Houston at the amphitheater, and I remember Travis had a kit, like he had his kit.
What year was this?
Oh man, okay, this is let me think here, probably 2002.
Okay.
Maybe 2002, 3, right around there.
So probably right after don't take off your pants and jacket, or take off your pants and jacket. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But what was cool about it was that he had another kit that was in the amphitheater, like up in it, that would pop out. And so there was a part in the set where he would
run to the back.
Yeah, like in the back.
Yeah, okay. That was probably after their self-titled album.
Yeah, I'm not sure that years.
Because I remember going to a concert and he did that. Well, I think he did that at all of us, but I remember.
But it was rad because he would. I was backstage, kind of watching this stuff, and they would grab him, and they had a wheelchair, and they'd throw him in a wheelchair, throw a towel on him, and they'd wheel him around to that, like the security, and then he'd pop up at the other side of the arena and do a killer drum solo, and then come back around. Yeah, that dude, he great punk drummer. Trey Cool, man.
Yeah.
Green Day.
Travis Barker, he's from my hometown in California.
Right on.
Riverside, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I got turned on to them, but I was into Green Day because it kind of all then together, and Green Day played Lubbock like on the Kerplunk tour. They played like a little club, but I always loved Trey Cool's punk drumming too.
He's very precise about his drumming.
Definitely. Yeah.
So when did you finally land in Austin? What year was that?
It was around the 2005. I might have these years all turned around, but it was right around that time. The band I was in kind of made Austin kind of the home place, and I was in a crazy relationship in Houston and needed to get out of it, and wound up coming to Austin to be saved, and there was a really great scene on Red River. There was a club called Room 710, and Headhunters, Stubbs, Red Eyed Fly, Emos, and we just played all on that scene, and there was just a lot of really good rock stuff going on then, and had a blast, man. Then I started mixing it up with some other musicians too. I played with Grady for a while, which is Gordy Johnson. Chris Layton from Stevie Ray Vaughan played drums for Grady. He left. I came in a couple drummers after that, but so I got to mix up with him. Gordy has produced a bunch of. He played in the Black Crowes for a little bit. He produced Government Mule. He's produced a bunch of really cool stuff. He has a band called Big Sugar that's really huge in Canada. But I got some time in with him. And then Jeff Pincus, who played bass for the Butthole Surfers, had a band called Honky. And it's kind of like a ZZ Top kind of on amphetamines kind of thing or something. And so I mixed up with him and Bobby actually plays for Corrosion of Conformity. It's kind of a old punk band. It's kind of a super group, which is cool. So I did that. So I've done a few things. Yeah.
Yeah, to say the least. So from a financial aspect of like doing these gigs, were you like hustling at a side job? Like what was your side hustle during all of this?
My side jobs were everything from like doing stagehand work. I did some of that here in Austin. I worked doors. I was a door guy.
Okay.
And I worked for Room 710, Continental Club. I worked with for Steve Continental for a few years. He just kind of hustled, man.
Yeah.
Just make it happen. It's not an easy life, and it's not for everybody. But it kind of worked for me with fit, And
but I feel like because you find the happiness and the joy in playing music and playing to audiences, I feel like that kind of, it balances out the financial aspect of things. You know, right?
Yeah, it does. And it's also
you adjust your lifestyle to be happy and play these shows.
You try the best you can, man. You try the best you can.
Yeah.
Like Ringo said, I get by with a little help from my friends as well. There's many couches that have been slept on. But yeah, man, it's been a journey to say the least. It was funny. I was talking to this cat. He's a writer. He's like, I'd like to do a book about you. And this just happened. And I was like, that would be kind of interesting. It's like, because I've got some stories, man.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
Why not?
So we're kind of talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I'm not that famous, but still just kind of to have something documented would be kind of cool.
Get those royalties coming in,
well, the journey's continuing, and Very excited about the West Texas Exiles, man. And it's funny because all the paths of my journey kind of led to what's happening right now, and in re-embracing Lubbock and my West Texas roots. You know, that's for sure. Pretty cool.
Well, you're kind of already led me there, but
yeah.
What was the band you were playing in before West Texas Exiles, and how did you get into the band?
Okay.
Of West Texas Exiles?
Well, basically how the journey went, the heavier band I played with kind of dissolved, and I started my partner in crime, Christine, who I've been with for many years. She's my girl and my rock, and we talked about it, and I was like, I'm gonna take a break. And so I worked for Stubbs Barbecue for a while. I took like a little hiatus.
Yeah.
And it was actually very humbling and very cool.
How did you get that job?
I knew a bunch of the crew.
All your connections.
Just connections. And it's funny because Stubbs actually being from Lubbock, I used to go to Stubbs when I was a kid, so that was kind of full circle. Okay. But anyway, I had got offered a few gigs, and so we decided to leave that because I was going kind of crazy. I'm not a 9-to-5er, and started doing it. And the couple of things that were happening kind of didn't happen. I was hoping they would. And so I started working on doing session work. And I got into the R&B scene here in Austin, which is very killer. There's all kinds of killer players playing all over. And Soul Man Sam Evans, Memphis Cat, kind of brought me in. A great drummer named Russell Lee kind of tipped me into playing in the pocket. I got schooled hard. It was great. Learned dynamics, that kind of thing. So that led me into doing session work and picking up gigs. And I had a mutual friend that knew Nino Cooper from a band called the Dirty River Boys. And so basically this is probably 3 years before COVID or so. I met Nino, we talked, and it turns out their drummer had left, and they had another drummer that was real busy. And so I did a rehearsal at Space Rehearsal. And
it's right around the corner from here.
Right down great spot. And a shout out to those cats. They're great. And so basically I had to listen to the Dirty River Boys stuff and loved it. Very captivating, great live show. And I met Marco. Marco and Nino came in, and basically we started rehearsing, and it was like, bam, first take. That's great. Bam, so got into that, and that's when the Dirty River Boys, and so basically I was doing pickup gigs when their drummer couldn't make gigs, and it started being more often. And then it was funny because the band would go sign autographs and stuff, and I'd stay back because I'm not, I'd hang out in the green room, whatever. I'm not in the band, but they'd come back and go, hey, man, it's like, they really like you, man. They're like, dude, who's that drummer, And eventually I got the call. They were like, we'd like you to be full-time with the Dirty River Boys. And I was like, yes, because it felt so family. And the dude of all dudes was Marco, man. I just connected with him. His songwriting, Thought I'd Let You Know, and Carnival Lights, and just Shine. Just all these songs. This guy's such an emotional, great songwriter, entertainer. He cares about the music. He's one of the first that really I worked with that paid attention to the details, to the dynamics. And, I was a heavy hitter, and I guess I still am. But at the same time, he worked with me on dynamics and turning me on to the folk scene, to Bright Eyes, I knew about Ryan Adams and Whiskey Town, but never really listened a lot, but really got into that and just how the music moves and and what the drums are as far as the instrument and the conveyor to the song, to playing to the song, to less is more.
Yeah. I can't wait to get Marco in here just so we can talk about Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh
Yeah. And he just, so Mark and I, we connected hard, man. He was like I've had both my brothers passed away early. I lost, they're all gone now.
Yeah.
But
sorry to hear that.
And so what I have is they're all right here. you know, but what I have is a family that's friends, a family of friends that's just amazing. But Marco, he's like the little brother I never had. You know what I mean, man? And,
For sure.
And just, you know, man, he just, there's a passion he has, and just the way he expresses it. I'm all about backing that up. You know,
Sure.
I'm all about being a part of that, being the machine, the engine to help the heart, you know, to keep pumping that so they can do their thing, you know. And then, so that it was the Dirty River Boys, and COVID came, and that kind of hurt the band. The band kind of was already kind of going different directions, but and Marco had just gotten out of a relationship and stuff, so he was looking to get a house and stuff. So we're like, dude, come stay with us.
Yeah.
You know, and so he came in, and then COVID hit, and we're like, he's like, I don't want to go back to El Paso. I was like, no, you stay here, man. And so he moved in, and
not that there's anything wrong with El Paso.
No, we love El Paso, but he needed to be with the music. I think he needed to. It's just one of those things where he had all these songs, right? And the DRB, we were so busy, it was hard to have time to. So the one thing, the blessing about COVID, I guess, is that he started getting into his songs, and literally, you know, Christine's working from home. I'm kind of doing what I can to do, and Marco's same. And he's in his room, and I can hear him. He's working on songs. That he'd come out with something, and then we sit down, and he'd go, "Let's try this." And you know, I'm talking like, you know, there's, you know, Exile, the song Exile, call that down, and he'd just walk around doing it, and I started playing the shuffle with it, and we just start, you know. So that's how Best Kind of Love, you know.
Yeah.
I remember he was like, Best Kind of Love, and I was like, coming to get it. You know, and it's like things like that happening, and late night jams and midnight martinis and
living the
you know,
life.
listening to music.
God.
COVID was actually kind of all right for us.
No, that's what I told my wife. And thankfully she's a nurse, so she was able to kind of calm me down of like, you know, it'll be fine remote, but it was nice to take a little reprieve from the hustle and bustle of things, and just like focus on what's important. And so many people understood what, like, hey, my job sucks. Now I'm stuck at home.
Yeah.
And this is great. Let me think about what else I can do with my life to make it more valuable, make my life happy.
And so, and that's what happened. And so, so he started coming up with these songs. Some of them were like, this is not quite Dirty River Boys kind of material and stuff. And then during COVID, we got this offer from the University of Alabama, and they were doing a virtual
Roll Tide,
like everything was virtual. So they wanted to do like a welcome to the new students. So we wanted to do a virtual concert with the Dirty River Boys to stream for the newcomers of the. Right. So Marco's like, well, I know this guy, Eric, and he's done work with us before. Eric, like when he was young, like did some video for Dirty River Boys. So he reached out to him, and turns out Eric's got this studio, 601.
Absolutely.
Right. And so we show up.
Was this job paying?
What
was the Alabama gig? Was it going to be paid? Okay, all right.
Dirty River Boys got paid, man.
Okay, good.
There was, had some semi hits, I guess. Maybe it's like also a very influential band. People like Co Wetzel used to come watch Dirty River Boys. Shane Smith used to come watch the Dirty River Boys.
Smith,
I mean, Shane, they opened for DRB. You know, it's like the Dirty River Boys definitely have a role in that whole red dirt country scene.
Yeah.
And Turnpike Troubadours, Whiskey Myers, and Dirty River Boys were kind of the original three that would do shows when that scene was just building, you know?
I posted a photo that I was working with the West Essex Exiles at 601, and one of the photographers that I know in town, Hunter, Rambler Media, he was like, dude, are you working with the Dirty River Boys? I fucking love them. I'm like, no, it's kind of like I don't know who the Dirty River Boys are, but I'm working with the West Texas Exiles. So yeah, you definitely did have a following.
Yeah, they were great. It was great times, man. It just, I think it just kind of ran its course,
sure,
you know,
as things do.
That happens. Yeah. But so anyway, this University of Alabama thing, so we roll in, and there's Mike, and there's Eric, and very nice, and it's like cool, and we set up and filmed it, and I remember Eric going, okay, it's like, Trinidad, I could see how he fits with the band, it was like cool, and so, you know, and Marco's like, I got these songs, you know, and stuff, and so we wound up going into cut, you know, with some stuff that was going to probably be solo stuff, maybe we'll play somewhere with DRB. And it just that's kind of what started it all, you know? Yeah. And then we were playing a gig, and this was like kind of post-COVID. I guess I'm going to tell a little bit of the story. The other guys have probably told it too, but this is my witness account.
I want to get everyone here so that way we have different takes.
So we had a gig in New Braunfels at this Happy Cow, I believe it was called. And you know, we sound checked and everything, you know, and then Mark and I were kind of getting off, figuring out what we're going to do. You know, we eat some food. And the next band's going to start sound checking. And we hear, you know that song, Where It's At, by Beck?
By Beck, yeah.
Blam, 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 blam.
We got 2 turntables and a microphone.
Blam, 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 blam. Is that?
Yeah, that's it.
Where it's at?
I got 2.
Yeah. So we hear that. We're like, Marco and I look at each other like, who's that? You know, and so you walk around and it's Daniel Davis. It's Daniel, man. And it's like, hey, dude, and we waved at him. He waved at us. And I'm sure Daniel told, you know, he was fresh in from Amarillo, just trying to get in. And I think he had just reached out to these guys and like asked if they needed a player. And they were like, I guess. And he just showed up and brought his piano. So it was all like his circumstance. And so we see him. So the show goes and there's an after party. And so like, let's go to this after party. There's going to be some singing, whatnot. And so Marco and I decided, yeah, let's go. You know, let's go. So we roll out there and there's Daniel. And he's sitting there playing songs. And we're like, what? And so Marco grabs his guitar. And I always carry a pair of brushes, some shakers with me at all moments because you never know when you're going to have a little jam, dude, you know?
Prove it.
Well, I don't have my bag. Well, damn it. Busted. No, but anyway, yeah, so I used one of the guitar cases to play on, and we proceeded to play till the sun was coming up, just trading off playing songs and singing together and realizing the same love, like playing some Ryan Adams songs together, playing, you know, and knowing this dude's cool. And we just clicked, man.
Just a couple of buds jamming.
Like it was like we knew him forever. That's what's wild. It was kind of like Marco's like, I've known you, dude. It's like, what's up? You know? So we kept in touch, and sure enough, it was like, man, why don't you come play on some of this solo stuff? And he shows up at the studio, and then all of a sudden there's the 4 of us, you know, and we're playing. We're like, I remember the first time because Eric was recording. He probably has it recorded, which would be really cool.
I mean, he better.
Check out.
I would.
That would be really cool because I remember going, oh my God. This is something. And the DRB had been kind of, you know.
Did you get that same feeling when DRB was first formed?
See, I came into it.
Okay, got it. So you weren't there at the
I wasn't
beginning
there
of
from
it.
the
Okay,
beginning.
all right.
I'm
So
not
this
the
is
OG.
kind of a different story. Yeah, different feeling. Okay.
For me, it was the first feeling of, whoa, I feel something. And the thing about Dirty River Boys, the thing about life is that some people's lives changed. Nino had a kid, and he wanted to work. You know, he wanted to work a regular job too, and you know, and just people's journeys were kind of changing, and so we're just like, wow, we're smiling at each other, and so we would get together weekly and just start jamming, man, and that's where New Moon Foe started happening, and like Marco had Sweet LA. We would start jam. We had been jamming Sweet LA with Dirty River Boys, you know, like just work on and just start playing songs and covers, and it was cool. And Eric is the get shit done dude. That's what Marco calls him, you know. But Eric's has like
I can't wait to get him on this so I can just definitely hammer him with questions of like, how do you do what you do?
Dude, how
do I transition it to, you know, my own business?
Well, number one, if you know his mom and pa, Amo and Davo, much love to them. They brought up a good boy, and they've always supported him, and his beautiful wife Haley, incredibly just intelligent and has style, and just he's surrounded by a family that loves and supports. Yeah. And they're part of this band, and they love.
They're at every show almost.
Yes, and they're just incredible. But I think it all comes from that. And he cares, man. And that's the thing about this band. Everybody cares. Well, so we're jamming, you know, and he's like, man, he goes, I'm a big fan of Colin Gilmore. And I was like, yeah, I've heard of Colin, you know. And he was like, man, I might just call him just to come hang, you know. And And I think Eric was working with his brother on something, you know. But anyway, so Colin shows up one afternoon, man, and it was just like, once again, like when we met Daniel, when we met Eric, when I met Marco, it was just like, wow, you know. And turns out he lived in Lubbock when I lived in Lubbock, and he came. I was played in this kind of rockabilly band for a while called Los Tornados in Lubbock.
Yeah,
and his mom actually sometimes would play shakers and percussion with the band, or do some different things. I don't remember that vividly, but he would talk about shows he was at that I played.
Oh my God.
And I was like, what? It's like, yeah, I remember you. Let's turn. And I was like, wow,
Holy
this
shit.
is weird. And he had a song called Black Vines, and he just started playing it. And once again, I had the brushes because you got me today, but I had the, so threw the brushes out. Marco had a guitar, and we started playing along, and it was just like, this is fun. And then I started listening to his catalog. It's like, this guy's got some great songs. He's got songs that he hasn't put out, songs that he released, and we just clicked, man. It just, it was like such a kindred spirit vibe that I haven't ever had in any band I've ever been in. It's always been cool or not, but like with this, it's all about the music moving forward and how can we all help it. We're all like texting, like today, we've already texted over 30 times today about stuff to get done. I mean, our text thread, and I never like, you know, I was always a guy that was like in a band, let's do this, and okay, yeah, and it never gets done kind of thing. But this band, we're all checking in and kind of have different roles in what we're doing to curate this, to take it to another level where we can find the people that can help us do that.
That,
you know, so
that's something that I find really easy to work with musicians when I see that, or when I hear that they're putting in the effort to grow their career, to make it, you know, resonate. One, grow their career, but also make it resonate with audiences. I was talking to this guy, Nico Little. He's a guitarist. He was on this podcast, and he rips it on guitar every time I go see him. And on this show, he was like, yeah, I'm taking my first guitar lesson ever. And I go, wow. I was blown away because he's such a young kid. He's like 26, but yet he has the wherewithal to understand that I need to do this to invest in myself. And so hearing these stories, it's like, okay, that's awesome because you care. Like you said, you guys care. And that's very representative.
And I think that's what it is like learning about the songwriter kind of experience, being a drummer. And it harkened me back to when I was young, because, you know, being a kid in Lubbock back then, it was all about the metal and stuff when I was a kid. But right when I got into high school, I met these friends that liked new wave music and like REM. And so, and like starting to listen to some stuff like Bill Berry, the drummer for REM, and starting to listen to like country stuff, because the record store I worked at, Lloyd Maines had I don't know if you know who Lloyd Maines is.
No idea.
He's a pedal steel player, played for Joe Ely. His daughter is Natalie Maines, that plays in the Dixie Chicks, and he's a Lubbock legend. And
wait, I think they're just called the Chicks now.
The Chicks, they're the Chicks, yeah. But anyway, but so I was learned about different styles of music that kind of honed in and to bring those styles in.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to pause for a quick commercial break. This one is sponsored by Resolute Media. I don't know if you heard of them.
Resolute Media.
And I asked my buddies to write me commercials, so bear with me on this one. I also do portraits, so I am a photographer as well. Nice. At least I consider myself. So this one's about your portrait and in regards to headshots. So Resolute Media does cheaper headshots, but they're cheaper than headshots in the red light district.
Ooh.
You know? that because those can be pretty expensive. Anyways.
Have you ever been to Amsterdam?
No, I want to go. Not because of the red light district, but
dude, they're standing in the window, dude, and you're looking at it like, what? And they're smiling at you. It's like, wow. But I can't, and no, I didn't partake. No, I didn't. I looked.
It's all right.
You know, but
you saw the price. You're like, it's a little expensive
the thing
for my
about
taste.
Europe, man. It's a lot more. It's a lot freer in a lot of ways, but yeah, man. Good headshots.
That commercial was brought to you by Randy. Thank you, Randy. I'm very proud of you,
Randy.
So, as this band has developed and grown, where does it go from here? What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to happen?
It's how to explain? We are. I think where it's going is more music, more shows, more expansion, reaching out to the world. Like, we love doing this. Basically, we are doing it full time, but we want to.
That's quite an accomplishment.
Be able to do this full time and build it and support to get the wheels rolling to basically grow the audience. And we have this record that's in the can.
Is it finished yet?
It is not released yet. And
when is the expected release date? Can you say?
Soon. All I got to say is that there's plans in motion. And I can't talk.
Let me guess. Right, it's going to be released next year.
Yes. It will be coming out soon. But we are definitely working to create some different ways to grow the band. But we're definitely, man, we're into this, man. And the thing is that all our better halves, all our, it's a family movement. Christine, my girl, she helps with the merchandising. Haley's helping do things. Everybody's helping do things, and we're growing it together. And I think that the ultimate dream is to be able to do this full time and live this life and live a journey and to go on adventures, worldwide adventures.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
And
when it comes to, you guys said you just created an album. So in your past experiences, how has writing with the West Texas Exiles differed from other bands?
Well, number one is 3 songwriters. And
it seems like with 3 songwriters, there could be a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Well, that's the thing, is that we respect the kitchen. We love each other and know that, there's different parts to cooking. But I think what it is for the most part, the guys are coming with ideas. And like New Moon Foe was something that Daniel came with. Monday Night, something Marco came with. The Way We Are is just something that Colin came with. But then Hotel Tomorrow was an idea, and we all kind of worked on it together. That's happening a little bit more. But I think what the thing is that we kind of bring it to everybody, brings something to the table. We make sure to check on what do you got. And we literally, I would say, in the range of 40 songs that are killers that we're going to develop and work on. We're already working on the next record, but I can tell you we've probably got 3 records or 4 records worth of material. So it's like, I think that we're developing our own kind of dynamic of how we're putting the stuff together.
Was it hard to transition from such a rock and roll heavy background to, what I guess you guys classify as Americana?
That's that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is like coming from a heavier world and stuff. I had a lot of I guess a little bit of self-consciousness or doubt because I've played on the mountain, you know what I mean? That's that's why I always say it's like I kicked it with Lemmy. I got a story with Lemmy from Motorhead. I don't know if you ever heard of Motorhead, but
yeah,
I knew Lemmy.
I remember Reverend Horton Heat opened up for them at Stubbs.
Yeah,
and I love Reverend Horton Heat. Jim Heath was an amazing guitarist. Me and my buddy, we went to go see a show.
Yeah.
And then we're like, should we stick around for Motorhead? I'm glad we did, but they were the loudest fucking concert I've ever heard in my entire life. to this day.
Yeah.
And we were just waiting to hear Ace of Spades because that's the only song we knew.
Yeah.
But we were entertained by all of his other songs.
Yeah.
And, of course, he saved it for the last.
Yeah.
And my ears rang for probably the next 4 days.
Yeah,
I shit you not.
Yeah.
They were the loudest fucking band. And they were entertaining, too.
But that's what I mean is that, like, I got to be in that world, the killer world of heavy. And for me, it was that, but I had always my roots. I loved like the Texas music, the Joe Ely's and Jimmy Dale Gilmore's, and then also got into the REMs and the Cure and like all that kind of stuff. So, for me, like, that's when I started learning more. I think meeting Marco with DRB, I kind of started learning more about the dynamics, and then learning in the R&B. So coming from the heavy world, that was my transition into it. And now it's like about learning techniques with brushes and different kind of bamboo arrangements and stuff like that. So it's a challenge, and I love it, and I feel like I'm developing my own style with it. You know? And but yeah, man, it's been heavy because it's like I don't want to play over it. I want to play with it. You know, and that's different when you're playing heavier. Sometimes you're hitting it. And I've done it. I've got my PhD in that, so I'm working on my PhD in the more linear, like more kind of dynamic, percussive kind of elements that happen with these different songs that are happening, man.
Did you ever have like a bad attitude towards genre? For example, like I hated, oh my God, the guitarist. He's handsome. He's really good. He played at Moody. He was in the Dave Chappelle skit. Why is he escaping my name?
John Mayer.
Yes.
Mayer, yeah.
Damn it. Fuck. That was so bad. Anyways, I really hated his music because I was just like, oh, it's just some handsome dude playing guitar. This isn't Interpol. This isn't, Blink-182 or Green Day.
Right.
Like, this is just shit. Like, you guys should listen to this stuff.
Well,
but then as I matured, I'm like, it's kind of good. If people like it, then it's good music. So did you ever have that mature or like that immature idea about music?
Well, I think that for me, working at record stores and being around music since I was a baby, I always appreciated everything from classical to jazz to all those kind of things. So I don't know if I really ever hated it. I mean, even techno music, man, like Orbital and Prodigy and Moby, and like I got into all kinds of shit, man. But I think it's funny you mentioned John Mayer because I always kind of looked at him as you're a pretty boy. But Marco was like, check this song out, and it's like, dude, this guy can play, And the dude's like playing with the Dead. He's playing with Bob Weir, man.
Right.
And but the thing is that I think you can't judge a book by its cover, and that's something I've always learned. And some people do. Like, that's the thing about the blues scene. If you're a new cat and you're rolling in, some of these blues players are like, no, you're a rock drummer. I don't want to play with you. I don't play with rock drummers. Rock drummers get a stigma about some of that stuff, And so for me, it was just like learning music and playing music is a privilege, and it's a gift. And every day that I can do it, I'm thankful. And when you meet people that respect it like that, which I've been in bands where it was, but not like this. This is different. You learn more, you believe more, and it's about confidence, Ramon. That's it. That's another thing about playing in life in general. It's like, I know there's 3 million plus other drummers that could fucking play circles around me, But I have me, and I am what I put into this band, what I put into my friendships, and what I'm putting Trinidad into it, and I have love in my heart. I've got a lightning bolt of love in my heart. That's what I always say. And I've gone through some of the hardest times. I've lost a lot, I've seen some stuff, but at the same time, I've seen some beautiful things. Love is strong, and confidence. So I'm just real. For me, it's just like I'm learning every day. You learn every day, man.
Right.
You learn every day.
Going back into the studio, how do you balance like, Eric, that bass line really isn't working for this song.
Right.
Like, how do you manage those conversations?
I think that one of the things that's great about this band is it repertoire? Is that what you call it? When you're just how we talk to each other and we respect each other. And also a shout out to Mike. Mike Ingber. I call him my drum producer because we will break.
He's also
down.
a very good drummer.
Oh, he's an amazing, and the dude, you know, and that's the thing. He's intimidating, man. I mean, I remember first going, I was like, fuck, you know, it's like, okay, you know, but the thing about Mike is that he gets it from looking at the whole picture and sees where I'm a part of it. I remember he told me, if I never thought that you were good for this band, I would have said something first, you know, and stuff. I was like, right on. But I think it's just like, you know, it's just the ability to work together. And what we're doing is we're all striving to make something great together and not, you know, and it's not individualistic. And just the way we could talk to each other is the way we communicate. Dude, this is we caught a wildfire. We caught something beautiful. We got some sauce. It's sauce, man. We got the sauce. And so we're just going to marinate it and we're going to cook it. And it's beautiful. It's what's cooking.
And all the chefs in the kitchen are not stepping on anyone's toes. That's
you know, we're cooking. Sometimes, you know, and I think for me, what I've learned is to be able to listen. That was like a great drummer. It was Russell Lee once, but he told me about playing music, playing with players. It's like, listen to what's going on. Marco stresses eye contact. Let's look at each other. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's communicate with each other. Eric will listen. We'll talk. It's like, hey man, that bass drum pattern. Check this out with the vocal. Is this going to work with this? Try it like this. If he's playing this, I don't need to double him up on this. Maybe jump back, let it breathe. You know, those kind of things. It's all communication, right, man. And it's I think that's what's unique about the West Texas Exiles is that we have that communication level together and we respect it and we check on it with each other.
How do aspiring musicians kind of find the same band? How do they find these same elements?
What do you mean?
Like, how do they, like, if there's an aspiring younger musician out there who wants to be in a band, how does he go about, you know, finding a West Texas Exile family like
it's the journey? Play every day you can, play with whoever you can play with, and never stop, you know? It's like that's what it is, you know? And never judge, never have that like
hey,
never
don't put your finger at me.
Hate.
Listen, I learned my lesson.
Ramon, no more hating, man. No. I think it's just more about playing like Daniel, man. It's like Daniel's always he's learning and he's playing. He's get this accordion. He sits in with Sour Bridges. He sits in with all kinds of these great bands that and he gets to do things in a different dynamic. Pat Byrne, you know, I'm real proud of Daniel because where he comes from, the church and what he wasn't exposed to a lot of the, I guess, non-secular music till he was a little older, and it's just awesome because that dude is like, he's got songs, man, you know, and just in a vibe, and he cares about everything. We all care about it all, from looking good to playing good to just, it's a show, man, and we're into it.
You guys need to get it sponsored by Stetson or something.
Yeah, we're working on it. Stetson, where you at? I need some new boots.
One thing I'm interested in is like the touring life of a musician. How has it changed for you from once you first started to what it is now with the West Texas Exiles?
I got through the haze. I've done it all.
Does it suck?
All those stories you ever heard about people do, I've done them all. Yeah. Probably.
Because when I was a kid growing up and playing in a band, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go on tour.
Yeah.
And then I started hearing whispers of like, it sucks. You're sleeping in a van. It's like
it takes
you're going from city to cities.
I love it. Well, that's the thing though, is that, you know, there's different levels that you do it. And I've done the sleeping on people's couches. I've been on a tour bus, you know, I want more of that, but, but also I've been through the struggle. I've learned to do it, but now it's about doing it smarter, not harder, because you don't want to burn out, man, you know, and I think I've come close to that a few times, but it's like, I always was able to save myself from it and stuff, and just taking care of yourself and the vices that are out there and the things, you know.
Do you remember the first tour you ever did?
The first tour I ever did? Yeah, it was in, I think it started in 2000. It was 7 weeks, 47 shows, coast to coast.
Who was that with?
It was the band Dixie Witch, the power trio. We did this, It was coast to coast, and we were just about to get signed to Sub Pop Records, man. It was a crazy story. It's like,
oh shit,
we played, you know, but to that first tour, I remember and it was funny because you talk about Reverend Horton Heat. I was actually roommates with Scott Chirilla, the drummer. Me and Scott were roommates. It was probably it might not have been the era you saw them.
No.
This was
I saw them in like 2004, 2005.
Yeah, Scott left
Lemmy was still alive.
But you what now?
Lemmy was still alive when we.
Oh yeah.
Well, obviously, if I saw, yeah, okay.
You know that tour? I think I was there. I was hanging on the bus with Lemmy. We were kicking it. Okay. But was that what they called it? Lemmy Day? It was the official Lemmy Day.
No.
That was probably a couple years.
I think the whole reason was there was a show going on at Nutty Brown Theater that Motorhead was supposed to close out, but for whatever reason, Lemmy got sick and he couldn't make it. So next year they came back and came to Stubbs with Reverend Horton Heat.
Right on.
It was like some rockabilly show. I forget.
Oh, that's the head coat or the. That's something he does with Danny B. Harvey, which is another local guy. Lemmy loved rockabilly. Lemmy loved Chuck Berry.
Okay.
Basically, all the Motorhead stuff is Chuck Berry, dude, but really fast.
Okay.
Really. He was a big fan of that kind of stuff, man.
All right.
That's what I remember Lemmy telling me, Trinidad, your name's a winner. He's told me that. It was like so cool. And Robert Plant actually told me that too. I have a story about having dinner with Robert Plant.
Well, fucking tell it. Like
the book, man. Wait for the book, man. I can't give it all out, man.
All right, fine.
But yeah, but that. Thank you, Mama. She gave me a good name, man. I think that's part of it. But basically, the touring life and the thing is, Well,
we'll go back to the first 7-week tour.
Yeah,
when he almost got signed with Sub Pop. Actually, we were just in Seattle. I saw the contract that Nirvana signed with Sub Pop. They signed him for the first year for like $600.
Yeah,
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Well, see, at that time, Reverend Horton. Oh yeah, we were talking about Reverend Horton Heat. Yeah. So Sub Pop was going to start doing a heavier section, like a heavier. There was a band called Nebula, I think, that got a record out. They put a record out on there, and there was a thing called stoner rock. You know, there was Queens of the Stone Age.
Oh, Caius. Oh,
I don't know if you ever heard of Caius.
Yes, that's Josh. Who? Josh Homme?
John Garcia.
Oh, okay.
Was a singer for Caius. Good friend. I knew Josh Homme real well. He would come see Dixie Witch.
He is on my list of people I want to have on. He's the one person I want to meet. There's 3 people: Tom Waits, Josh Homme, and Jack White. So
yeah, I remember playing. Queens was playing at Stubbs. It was during beginning of South by, and we were playing right at Fly Right Across, and they all came over after to hang in a crazy party ensued. But yeah, man. So Sub Pop was going to do this heavier thing. And they, so we get to Seattle. The first leg of the tour was West Coast, and we were going, and no, it was all one leg. That's right. But when we got to Seattle, we went out. Guy was Dana. He was a rep for there. Went to lunch. All the people came out. I remember Jim Martin, is it the guitarist for Faith No More, was there. There was just like bunch of cats hanging out, and so we were it was like cool. And then as we're rolling out, news comes out that Sub Pop hadn't been paying Reverend Horton Heat royalties.
Oh shit.
And they owed him hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so all of a sudden Sub Pop had to shut down some different sections, and we were that whole heavy. That's when that got all put, and they had to pay Reverend his money. It's kind of a crazy story, man.
Yeah. Oh. All right, so you go on the 7-week tour. Day 1, what are you showing up with like toiletries or your suitcase? What are you showing up with on tour besides your drum set?
Well, see that
suitcase,
you got your
backpack.
You got your suitcase and your bag and your stuff, and that's what's funny about learning to tour. I remember we played in Montana. It was in oh God, it's up in the mountains. Well, Montana's all in the mountains. But basically,
Big Sky Country.
This show, College Town, and there's these people like, come party with us. And so we go party. It's like they're like double wide style, like party. And so I think, oh yeah, go hang out. And I took my bag in with me, right? And so, we had to make a hard ass drive to Denver or something. And I remember I kind of got kicked up. It's like, get up, we got to go. It was a crazy drive. So we start rolling. I'm in the van, pass out again, and I got my backpack. But then I realized I left my bag back in Montana.
Oh my God.
And it had like extra jeans.
Yeah.
It had contact lens stuff.
Yeah.
Because I wear contact lenses and stuff. And I remember going, oh shit, you know. So they had to mail it, but we weren't going to get it for a while. So I went without, like, I had a pair of contacts, pair of jeans, a shirt, a couple shirts, and
your nasty ass chonies that you're wearing.
It was struggle, man. Like, I remember I ripped my jeans and I had to duct tape them. And I remember, like, you know, and oh my God, I learned the hard way. So it's like, take care of your shit when you're on the road and just be organized and, you know, don't party too hard.
Not
man.
too
You know,
hard.
have fun, but
live the lifestyle, but
take it easy.
Right, it's a marathon.
You know? Yeah.
What about like food? What are you guys eating?
Man,
Gas
back
station
in those
chips
days,
and
it was, you know, the per diems were not great. You get, you know, and usually when you show up to these places, they got pizza for you.
Yeah.
That was always a hard thing. It's like, what do I need when I'm playing, you know, well, pizza. You know, not real healthy back then, but a lot of fast food, man.
Okay.
There were tours that went by Taco Bell and fucking, you know, the Bell.
I grew up on Taco Bell.
Burger
I could
King,
do that.
Yeah. But I tell you, man, after 7 weeks, man, it gets bad.
It's old.
But luckily, that was 20 years ago, 20 plus. So I've gotten through that and gotten to realize to try to take a little bit better care on the road, you know, and stuff. But back then, yeah, man, it was just like hand to mouth, scratching it out. Luckily, our bass player was a mechanic. We went through probably like 6 vans. Jesus. You know, I mean, yeah, man. But in the end, it was all about being on the stage. There's a great artist, Jesse Denton. He says it's all about the hang. And the thing about touring and stuff is you got 24 hours in a day and you're 90 minutes on the stage. So the rest of that day, it's about the hang and how you can get along with your brothers.
Right.
And how you can get along out there and how you take care of yourself. And that's what it's about. And that's what it took me a lot of hard learning, you know, to do, man. But I think we're a better hold on it.
And now as you tour with the West Texas Exiles, what do you do differently? I think you kind of already said it, but specifically, what have you done differently on this tour?
We do try to eat a little bit better. We do definitely.
Like what? Like salads or where are you going?
You try to have a decent square, man, you know, and also.
Is it one meal a day? Because I like to eat. I can eat anything.
For me, I can live on one and a half, you know, I mean, on the road, man, it's like, but I think it just depends, you know, we still, man, we like, you know, we like chicken wings, you know, we like burgers and stuff like that, but we definitely just try to take a little bit better care of how it is, you know. And, you know, I'm a lover of Espolón tequila, so I need to try to take it easy on that sometimes.
Yeah.
But,
so when you're like traveling or when you're touring, I think you took Danny's van, right?
Right now, yes, Danny. Okay. We have been thankfully lucky that he's been able to supply the green machine and the minivan, and get a trailer. He's been able to support the band with that, and we you know, take care of that. But we definitely, there are plans on the horizon we're looking for that big Sprinter in the sky, that big van. You know,
do you guys take turns driving? What's the shift change?
Dan's a road dog. Marco loves to drive. Eric loves to drive. We all like to drive, so we all take turns. But I would say that Daniel's been a big anchor when it comes to that kind of stuff. But Marco, you know, all the dudes, man. It's the thing about the band. We all take care of each other, bro. Okay. You know, it's like, it's just about supporting each other.
You guys ever been pulled over as a band?
No, we haven't. And
you got to think about,
you know, and that's the other thing. I've learned those lessons, man. You riding dirty, man. You know, it's a gamble, man. You know, and I've had some things happen here and there way back in the day where you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
And it's about playing the music. But I guess the funniest one was when you leave El Paso, you hit a checkpoint.
Oh yeah,
right?
We're very familiar.
And we were doing a. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you need to talk about?
No,
that?
I don't need to talk about anything. I already talked about it to the cops. So it's all right. We don't need to revisit that story.
But it was funny because we got pulled over and it was early and we were all kind of tired. And the guy's like, pull the car over. And we're like, okay, you know, we all know. We always check. Nobody's got it. We'll be cool.
Whatever you do, you just leave it in the previous city.
Take it easy. Yep. You know, and so the guy has his dog. And I guess he's training the dog. And like, well said. And the dog's just kind of hopping around in there, you know, and stuff like that. And we're like, okay, it's like, that's what's going on, and nothing happened. But I just remember thinking that was funny because it was like the training dog, was doing that. But we didn't. Yeah, man, it's been good. We're making sure to take care of each other.
Okay,
and definitely, and it's changed a lot touring. It's hotels and stuff you can find. Sometimes the shows there's buyouts for that.
Yeah.
We're rising up.
Awesome.
The bigger you get, the better it gets like that.
Who are you sharing a room with?
But man, we kind of all pair off.
Pair off. Okay.
Usually it's 3 rooms, so there's 6 beds. So sometimes one person will get a room.
Okay.
No, we haven't found that merch sound guy yet. We're looking. By the way, West Six Exiles are open to taking applications for anybody who wants to roll and help this thing go. But we're definitely getting to that.
There you go.
But that's the thing. Marco is he's kind of the Svengali on that. There's apps you can find, hotels, and I tell you, man, sometimes like a Marriott's, they'll have rooms that are available that aren't sold for $80.
That's super cheap,
and we'll stay at a fucking nice hotels for a decent price. So we definitely like to have beds to sleep in. That's for me. I've done so many of those. I like a bed.
Who doesn't?
Yeah,
Jesus.
exactly, man.
Who doesn't?
But back in the day, I slept on base cabinets. So we had this van back in the day. I had this van that. The bass player's SVT 810 was the back bench, and we put a futon cushion on it.
I've heard of bands doing
like that. So I've done that, man.
So what are you guys driving? Do you guys like take shifts? Is it like basically? I want to know so Dan's the leader, but do you ever get like scared? Like, oh fuck, we've been on tour or we've been up for like 18 hours straight. We just played a show. They're not going to fall asleep at the wheel?
No, we check on each other, man.
Okay, good.
Everybody
right.
Make sure.
Okay.
Don't be a hero, man.
Yeah.
And we check on, hey, do you want, you okay?
Yeah.
And yeah.
I remember there's been a road trip or two where we're coming back from Denver and we're just outside of Dallas and I'm driving and all of a sudden my buddy wakes up out of a dead sleep. He's like, watch out for the fucking deer. I'm like, what deer? And he's like, I'm sorry, I was just dreaming. I'm like, oh my Jesus Christ, you just scared the shit out of me. Like, I'm on no sleep, so yeah, don't do that to me.
Yeah, don't do that, dude. Yeah, man.
Well,
bro, Raymond's bro did that. Take it easy, man. Now, I think that we did a hell of a drive coming back from the West Coast, and it was from Wyoming. I think we did Wyoming to like out to Amarillo.
What are you doing to kill the time on these long drives?
Man,
podcasts, headphones,
podcasts, stand-up comedy. Daniel, like just are you into the Dr. Phil stuff or any of that? Do you know about all that?
God,
Adam Ray?
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
He did an amazing show with the one and only Shane Gillis. Oh,
Shane Gillis.
Jesus Christ.
The one cat, he's got the kind of mullet with the cap. He wears the glasses. Dusty. His name's Dusty something, man. But, and also podcasts. Eric will always put on really cool, like, inside the song kind of podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, song.
Kind of like behind the music, like VH1 used to do back in the day.
Songwriter, I can't remember. But, that and stuff. And then also you'll just throw on your AirPods. You throw on your beats and and listen to I like to book on tape kind of shit, stuff like that, and
what book you listen to right now?
What now?
What book you listening to right now?
I'm about to get into the new Joe Ely. There's a Joe Ely book that I've been told it's really cool.
Okay.
Jesse Dayton's book was great. The Quincy Jones book was really great. Quincy Jones was he produced all the Michael Jackson stuff, We Are the World. He played with Duke Ellington. He did all the like Frank Sinatra stuff.
There was a documentary about We Are the World. That's the big
wasn't that great? Did you watch that?
That was a great documentary. Holy shit.
Did you see Waylon walk out in it? That's West Texas, bro. That's that attitude. It's funny because Michael Jackson wanted to put in some kind of African chant stuff or something, and Waylon's like, nope, I'm out. That's West Texas. That's that Lubbock vibe. That's like you've been drinking that water. It's like that's the one thing about being from out there. You get that grit, and that kind of thing. But
growing up in West Texas, it's definitely. I was telling Danny, like you you kind of have to make your own entertainment because there's not a whole lot out there. And there is this majestic thing about being out in West Texas and kind of being secluded from the world where you're just kind of at your own pace and learning how to do things yourself because there's not a lot of resources out there.
No.
So yeah, it was a beautiful place to grow up, and it definitely gave me the imagination that I do have.
Yeah. When I was lucky because growing up in Lubbock at the time, there was a great college radio station. It was 88.1. It was a Texas Tech. It was like the college, but they had at that time the music director. She wound up helping create CMJ, was a college music journal, but all these bands would come through Lubbock. Lubbock was kind of a go through, so we saw a lot of really cool shows, and music was really alive. It's like, so Lubbock was really thriving at that time when I came up, you know. But there definitely is that distance you feel from the other places.
Right.
It's like, and especially when you talk to people like Butch Hancock, songwriter, legendary Flatlander, Jimmy Dale Gilmore and stuff, and they talk about their Lubbock, and that was like, you know, from way back, you know, in the wide open spaces and all those kinds of things. Yeah.
Well, it's already been an hour. We're kind of wrapping the. Yeah, time flies when we're.
Time flies when I'm having fun with my bro, man.
I want to get into kind of towards the end of questions of the show, but what have you seen change in the music industry that has hurt artists from the time you started to now?
It's most of it is probably the fact about the streaming and stuff like that, and that
I was hoping you would say that.
Yeah,
go on.
I think that it's hard because it's so accessible and you're so not getting paid. I mean, I'll get from ASCAP. I'm BMI now, go BMI, but I was at ASCAP a mother, but I'll get these like 10. You get the $10 check.
What's BMI?
That it's like the music resident. What does it stand for? But
Better
basically,
Music
it's
Industry?
the Songwriters Guild that basically it copyrights your songs and can get it out.
Got
Eric will explain that in detail to you.
Well, you better tell him to get his ass over here because I've been bothering that motherfucker.
Basically, you know, they're the ones that handle your royalties.
Okay.
They're the ones that are the streaming royalties. If you get your songs in movies, television shows, and stuff like that, that's where you get paid for that. But it's just not enough, and it's not a lot to.
No, yeah.
That part's hard. And I think that just that's one of the hardest things.
Yeah,
definitely.
I filmed a show last night with Ainsley Costello, and the whole premise of that show, it was at Antone's. The whole premise of that show was it was being streamed live, and they had QR codes for people at the audience. But the cool thing was that you were able to donate like Bitcoins or not Bitcoins, but like fragments of Bitcoins into where those, and the cool thing is like everyone in the band had their own account. So like when the donation came through, it was divided equally amongst the members automatically, just like that. Now I was like, being a curmudgeon that I am about Bitcoin, I'm like,
I don't know enough about it.
Exactly. I don't know enough about it. I don't know how, like, I'm gonna say I still buy my drugs with cash, so I don't I don't know how I'm gonna convert, because all the all the exchanges that I've used for Bitcoin, it's like I haven't heard any good things about it.
Neither, man.
So I still don't trust it, and it's a new thing, but I'm trying to understand, like, yes, with the power of the internet, there is availability to get more money into the industry. They just have to find a tool.
Interesting.
And I think what Ainsley's doing is, or the who's she's associated with, I think they're doing it a good thing, because apparently all of her Spotify reach within the course of a year, she got like, I don't know, a very low number. Mm-hmm. But because of this platform that they provided, she was able to make up like 5 years worth of Spotify residual money in 1 month or something crazy like that. I need to check that out. But the whole idea was like, okay, that's how that's an idea that it could change the music industry to where the money is coming back to you guys.
And that's the other thing, is that the record labels are gone.
They are gone. Yeah.
So there's none of those advances. There's none of that kind of thing happening. And also with Bitcoin, the mining thing.
I don't get it.
I heard
how
it
does
takes
how does
like
it work?
a lot of energy to do and stuff, and it's like it's crazy. But I think Texas is going to become a big thing for that. I'm not sure.
That's hopefully that's good.
Hopefully it is positive. I'm open to everything, and another thing I want to say is like, yeah, some crazy stuff is happening next year. Who knows what? But love each other. You know, talk to your friends. Talk to those family that might have a different opinion than you do.
Amen.
And listen to the music and support it. And man, cross the line and say hey to people, man, because you know we're all essentially we all want love. We all want to have happiness, and we all just want to strive together in this beautiful country that we have, because I do love America and I love what we have and everything we have, and it takes all kinds, man. So just be kind to each other and go see the West Texas Exiles, because you're going to get the love, baby. You know, and that's what it's about.
I think that's an important thing that you said that, because a big thing happened in November.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, at least on social media, said a lot of things that I'm not going to associate with anybody who.
Oh man, cut it out.
And I didn't.
Cut that puto shit out, man.
I don't understand that. Like here as Americans, we're given two options.
Yeah, man.
And so my family is very conservative, so we all know who they voted for.
Yeah.
But I could never fathom just cutting them out of my life, because even though we don't see eye to eye, but there's still other things we can talk about, like the shitty Cowboys team. You know?
Exactly. The pinche vaqueros. ¿Qué pasó? You know what I mean? But yeah, man, I think that's just. I know we're running late.
No, like that,
I wanted to give that.
I always want to hit an hour, and then whatever else is Gucci.
To give that message out there is that it takes all kinds and support the arts and support what's happening out there, and just hold on, give some love, smile at people, say hi, and you know, and it's gonna be all right. It's going to be all right. We can make it all right.
All right, last thing. I want to talk about the Nether Hour show you guys had at Continental. Wow. Okay, no. Before we even do that.
Well, you were there.
No,
right?
I was not there. I had to go, I was double booked that day. I had to send a second shooter out to friends to cover a show, and then I was covering a comedy show, which sucked because it was in the rain. So fuck you, Joe Begley, for making me do that.
Dang it.
Anyways, so before we get into the Continental show, last thing. A famous, one of the idols that I want to interview and have dinner with and have a beer with, Jack White.
Yeah.
He performed at Continental Club.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't like the idea that he charged $150 for that Continental show.
Oh, he did?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
He did that.
Woo.
And then also he charged $150 for the show at Mohawk. I understand the logistics of, because it's at Mohawk, it might be a little bit bigger venue, but at Continental Club, my thought is it's such a small, intimate venue. It's a surprise show, so why not charge a bare minimum to cover all the logistics of Continental Club and everything that goes into that? Why not just throw your fans a bone? And you're doing a surprise show, so obviously you're releasing it an hour before the show. Hey, show up. Tickets are available at 11 o'clock. Shows at 12. Whoever first come, first served, you get in. Why do you have to charge $150 for that ticket? And so from your perspective, from both a potential fan and as a musician, how do you justify that? And do you agree with it?
If you had a chance to probably look at Jack's financials and what it costs to do what he does.
Okay, go ahead. Go on. I'm not going to interrupt you.
That part. Also, the fact that you know, I understand why maybe he did that, you know, or whatnot. But you know, if all you can do is shoot it out there, and if people are going to do it, they're going to do it, right?
Right. I get that, but he owns his own label. He's not unsuccessful.
But he pays people to run that label.
Okay.
Do you know what it costs to make records?
Good.
Do you know what
answer.
It costs to get the distribution?
Okay.
Do you know how much it costs to get publicity going for just a song? We're talking thousands of dollars. Do you know how much it costs to have that bus every day? A cheap bus is probably $7,000 a day. You got to pay the driver. You got to get a room for that driver. You know those crews that are loading out, they're getting paid too by the hour. they're not paying for that. You know, but I get what you're saying, but the industry's changed so much. You know, I got a hold of that when I worked for Upstage, because you got like 50 dudes that are all getting paid $20 an hour, $25 an hour. And then they're having to set this shit up, set it down. And then you got a driver, you got say like Green Day has 7 rigs. And that's why shout out to Taylor Swift, dude. She bonused like
for fucking over the world, and
hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
She took care of her crew.
Yeah, but okay.
Swifties.
I take
Where did it go from there, man?
No, I'm going to lose my shitty attitude about
No, but I get
music.
it. I get what you're saying, brother. But also, yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. But I think that also, you know, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. But, you know, I bet it was a killer show.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I feel like he's going to sell out the Mohawk show.
Right.
And if you're going to do an additional show,
do like a fan club only and cut a deal.
Maybe
like
even that.
maybe,
I don't know.
you know?
But I didn't. You were the first person to bring up the idea of like, hey, he's got to pay
the
everybody.
Machine.
Yeah, he has to pay the machine. But again,
Yeah.
factor in he also owns his own label, so he's making
Yeah.
money off of that. But
Well, you think
again,
he is.
I think he is. Okay. I
you
think.
don't know. Dude,
All right.
the overhead, it's like sometimes doing stuff like that, you're just breaking even. Man.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Dude.
Okay.
It's like,
Fair point.
You know, but I mean, it's different for different bands, and I love it when there are bands that do the discounted thing, or they just pop up and do these things that are free, you know?
Yeah.
And I bet Jack does some stuff like that too,
I know.
man.
No,
but I don't know.
You're right. You're right. I just like
I didn't know though. 150.
Yeah, 150
And he sold
bones.
it out, man.
Yeah, he did. Of
Yeah.
course, he's gonna sell it out as Jack White. But that's the beautiful thing about conversations with different ideas is like, I don't like what he did, but
Yeah.
and then here you are like explaining to me that hey,
Yeah.
think about this. All right, so talk
Yeah.
about another hour and your all show at Continental Club. How awesome was that?
First of all, it's Eric, you know, Studio 601, once again, great studio, and he's really creating a movement here too, that the Exiles are, of course, a part of. But Nether Hour is a great band of dudes that just have a great following. They've been taking care of their stuff on the worldwide webs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was an incredible night because we were blown away. The club was blown away about. It was packed. We packed it. It was close to sold out.
Wow.
And so many fans came, and it was like a love fest. And Nether, I was great. And the top it all off is Jimmy Dale Gilmore. You know, he just got off his tour. Him and Janet.
Smokey.
Yeah, Smokey, man. He was watching Nick Lowe, who's this great British songwriter from days ago, great pop guy, was at Antone's, and Jimmy was hanging there, and he told Amanda's daughter, he's like, I want to go to Continental Club, you know, see the boys, you know. And so we're playing and look over, and there he is, and sure enough, you know, Colin's like, well, come up. It's like he came up and he did a song with us, and it just it was a great show. Steve, Celeste, all the crew at Continental Club have been so supportive of the Exiles. We did a 9-month residency there. They are our family. It's our home away from home.
That was pretty impressive. Yeah,
oh, it was
you guys
beautiful.
crushed it.
I can't talk about it right now, but there's a really cool stuff that's happening next year with.
Please invite Resolute Me to do it.
You wanna?
Please invite me to do it.
Oh, you're your first call, baby. Your number one call, man. I was wondering where you were, dude. So
I was bummed because Eric. I guess. I had already booked the comedy show, which was fun. It was fun. I'm glad I did that.
Right on.
But it was pissing on us all night. I had to worry about rain on my lights, on my cameras.
Jesus Christ.
It was a struggle, but it was still fun, and I think that's going to work out to my benefit because I did that.
Good.
But I was really upset that God damn it, that was a show that I wanted to be at, but I couldn't. You know, if there was only a way to clone Ramon, but
or Ramon, but down the line, hopefully there'll be a way to where you're just in the bus.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You're part of the fucking production department with some stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Great. All right.
I have dreams.
We have
big
dreams too.
dreams, man. So it's like we're following our dreams, man. Here's to the.
We are.
Here's to it, man.
Okay, so real quick, what do you want to do next year? That is, what do you want to accomplish next year? Who do you want to meet? What do you want to do?
Oh man, I think that we want to play to twice the amount of people we played for last year. I would like to go to Europe at some point, or at least get over there. I want to get to the NYC. I want to get to the East Coast.
Okay.
The West Coast. I want to, I want to play some iconic venues, man. I don't know if it's. I want to play Red Rocks, man.
Whoa.
I want to play. I want to play the Fillmore. I want to play. We got goals, man. But mostly it's just about doubling the crowd, man, tripling it, and getting that record out and getting people to get to start.
Yeah, hurry up, Mike and Eric. Jesus Christ, the hell's taking so long?
No, it's not on them, man. But and also just thanks to all the fans. We did like a crowdfunding thing, and people are kind of wondering, when's this coming out? It's coming out, and we're thinking about you. We actually got some really cool things we're going to do for those fans here within the next couple weeks.
Very cool.
Just to let them know that we're thinking about them, and it's just basically what we want to do is just be able to take this thing to the next level, because we're ready to go, man. This thing is we just we're ready to go, and we're doing it.
Good.
So it's just let's do this a year from now. We'll talk about the killer things we've done, man.
I can't wait for that.
Let's make a date.
Next year, I'm gonna have couches. I ordered a couch.
I already know, man. You're gonna be.
I have a couch. It's supposed to be here within 4 to 6 weeks of when I ordered it. So if it's not here by next year, I'm gonna ask for my money back.
Next thing you know, you're gonna have a little crowd. You have a little
that'd
thing,
be awesome.
man.
That'd be awesome. I actually thought about doing like because I wanted to be a creative space. I also thought about doing like little mini shows here, just like singer-songwriter stuff. Hey, I have the cameras, I have the lighting. You just come here, invite like 5 people or 10 people, whatever.
Yeah. When they do the, was it the one where you get in the car and you go interview?
Oh, yeah.
Is it Letterman that did that?
No.
Somebody that did where they'd interview you.
Jimmy Fallon or something. And they would do like karaoke.
Or do it in different kind of spots and stuff. That'd be cool. But create in the studio here, man. Yeah, this is great.
Well, thank you. This has been a labor of love. I didn't do anything. I just hired people to. Well, I earned the money to hire people to do it.
That's good.
And and it turned out well. So
I believe in you, man.
Thanks, man. I believe in you guys.
It's I'm so glad you're part of this equation too, and in a lot of ways how we found you and how it just all clicks, man. And you're definitely considered part of all this thing that we're doing for sure.
I already cried this week, family, Trinidad. Baby. Please don't make me cry again.
No, we'll cry, man. We'll cry together. We'll cry together, man.
All right, dude. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy dude, but good, this means the world to me. And
cheers out there. You. Exile's coming at you soon, maybe. Bye. Right on, dude.